We thought, let's try to create a new interdisciplinary area of study that begins with my department, the philosophy department, but then gives students lots of opportunities to branch out to politics, history, even geography, international studies, and more. We want to expose students to the major debates and controversies surrounding human rights and enable them basically to participate in those debates in an informed way. Human rights seem to presuppose a universalism about justice and about right and wrong, but the world is full of all sorts of interesting cultural variation in views about that. Is there some conflict between that cultural variation and the claims of universalism that go with human rights? Human rights have been used as a reason to intervene in other countries to try to address human rights abuses that are going on there. Some people are concerned this means an open ticket for powerful Western nations to fiddle in less powerful nations whenever they like, under the cover of a human rights pretext. Is that a problem that we've got, that we've introduced by using the human rights discourse? So, giving students the thinking tools to understand what a human right is and what are alternative ways of thinking about justice, and then enabling them to participate in contemporary debates about whether or not human rights are a good thing. That's the main thing we want them to get out of the first year.
Well, I think it's important to have a unit that not just provides you with things you agree with, but things that you don't agree with, so you can really start to figure out your own opinions, because otherwise I think you just sort of take on someone else's. But the readings have been really good, and some of them have been quite controversial and have stated a lot of things that I don't agree with and that make me quite angry. So that's been really handy, because before then I wasn't entirely sure what my position was. We make significant efforts to bring interactivity into our lectures. We in fact use methods of teaching such as mass response systems like personal clickers and so on, so that we can put questions to the students, get a rapid response to see have they understood the sort of point we've made, and very often if it's a controversial sort of issue, we then give students an opportunity to talk to each other right there and then in the lecture. And students generally report that this is a much more engaging method of having a large lecture class than more traditional forms. We also have tutorials, of course, where you can discuss things in much more extended format and really draw out the issues, get students engaged, get them actually trying to formulate their own opinions rather than merely trying to take them received from on high. At the start of the year, when we noticed quite a change, at the start of the year people would say, no, you can't do that, that's just not right. Whereas at the end of the semester, people were able to give justifications, sort of philosophical reasons, legal reasons, all these really new sort of ideas that we hadn't had before that. And so that's been really, really good, being able to find why I think this, not just having that feeling in my gut that something's not right, being able to say why. I think it's clearly going to be of benefit if you're doing certain sorts of journalism, or if you want to work in the public service, or maybe you're interested in human rights activism and want to work for a non-government organisation. And perhaps there's also opportunities in education. I think there'll be more and more teaching of human rights related issues in schools and universities in the coming year. Human rights education is really important because it teaches people to think about human rights beforehand, so we're not just treating symptoms, and I think that's becoming realised. And so there's going to be a lot of career pathways in human rights education, and it's really important to have these values and understandings before you go into that, so that's been really cool.